Welcome back. You are listening to Real Talk with Brian and Dan on 1150 KKNW.
I'm Brian.
And I'm Dan, and our guest today is Paul LaRose with Olive Crest. Now, I'm really excited about this segment because when we started this show, we wanted to highlight not only businesses and service providers in our community, but charities, local charities. So I'm very excited to have Paul, who is the executive director at Olive Crest, a local foster care agency aiming at breaking the cycle of child abuse and neglect right here in the Pacific Northwest. Welcome to the show, Paul.
Oh, thank you.
So we like to get it personal to begin with, not like super personal, but just like personal. Like, tell us about yourself. Tell us, what are your hobbies? Do you have a family? What are you up to in this beautiful August, right?
Yeah, what do you do when you're not doing Olive Crest?
Right.
When I'm not doing Olive Crest, the family likes to go camping.
Nice.
My wife and I, her name is Farrah. We have 3 children,
Awesome.
12-year-old boy, 10-year-old boy, and a 3-year-old girl. And camping and exploring the outdoors is
Where do you like to camp?
we like to camp all on the peninsula.
Oh, nice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You like the rainforest?
Like the rainforest.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny.
Cool.
My daughter is getting ready to head out for college and such, and she's like, wait, I've never been to the rainforest. I got to go to the rainforest. Okay, whatever. But
It's beautiful.
It is.
It's gorgeous.
Oh.
So we'd like to ask each guest to share with us a fond memory of the home you grew up in.
All right. Well, the home I grew up in. So I grew up mostly in South Bend, Washington. And I remember the first time my parents took us kids to the house, I thought, this is a crazy house. Because it was a little dilapidated. It wasn't like your dream house or anything, but it was really big, had stairs in it, and a big yard. So we were very excited to be able to move into the home.
Where's South Bend? Why don't I know? I know the name.
Opposite of North Bend.
No, it's not.
It's on Highway 101, south of Aberdeen.
Oh,
South
interesting.
area.
Okay.
Mhm. So pretty far south.
Yeah.
All right. Well, all right. So tell us a little bit about the state of Washington State foster care and the crisis going on.
Yeah, we are absolutely in a crisis. We actually have over 9,000 kids in foster care right now.
Wow.
And we have a shortage of homes. So Olive Crest and other agencies, we're really making a strong effort to recruit new foster families.
So,
Why are there so many kids in foster care?
It's actually a pretty complex question
Is
or
it?
answer. But for the most part, neglect is a big reason. A lot of times we find that kids are in a situation where there's just not enough food, there's food insecurity or not stable housing. Sometimes there's abuse. There's all types of reasons that kids are in foster care. And we try to serve them all, of course.
so how did you decide to get involved with Olive Crest?
I'm really glad you asked that question because being a real estate radio show, my wife and I back in 2000, we were newly wed, and we bought a house in Dallas, in the suburb of Dallas, and we were able to see that it was a little bit too big for us. We had 3 bedrooms, and they were empty, and we weren't looking to start our own family at first. And so a friend of ours mentioned doing respite care, which just means that you help out foster families. So you go through the licensing process. You've got extra bedrooms, extra beds. And when a foster family needs a break, they come over, stay the night or the weekend. You take care of them, have a good time. The foster family gets some reprieve. You send them back. It's all good. But we actually got into full-blown foster care, and for about 4 years, we took care of 18 kids during that time.
Wow. So something that just kind of started out as an idea because you're like, hey, we got this space, and then turns into a love of it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So a lot of families would like to do this.
Yeah.
They're reluctant to. What would you say to them, considering it?
Yeah, it can be scary because you're allowing somebody to come into your home and evaluate your bedroom space and what you have available in your house, and you've got this potential kid that's coming in. You've never met them before. You don't know what you're getting. So there's a lot of intimidating factors. However, with Olive Crest, our agency, we do a lot of background work and legwork, making sure that we introduce our potential families to the idea of fostering, what age group, what fits best for their current family, and allowing them to ask a number of questions to eliminate some of those fears and interpretations. And we're not a high-pressure type agency. We want to make sure that the kid placed in the home is going to be safe and that the family that receives the kid is going to have an enjoyable experience.
How does someone find out more about becoming a foster parent?
They can visit our website, which is olivecrest.org. And we have a number of regions. So we're here in the Pacific Northwest, and we have other regions in the California area. But if they focus on going to the Pacific Northwest part of the website, they can find out information on our classes that we have. We do an event called Fostering 101, which is just an opportunity for potential families to come hear about what we do, ask a bunch of questions, and then take steps forward if they feel so inclined, which we hope they do.
So there's sometimes a misunderstanding or a myth about the way fostering goes.
Yeah.
That are really, they keep a lot of people from moving forward, taking the next steps. So what are some of those myths, and how can you help demystify them?
Yeah, well, there's, in society today, just sensationalism on the news is a big deal, right?
Yeah.
So people get afraid. They think that they're going to get some kid that is dangerous or scary, and that's just really not the case. Most of the kids that come into foster care are average age of about 5 or 6 years old. They're just little guys. Right?
That's the average age that you have?
Wow.
Yeah, they're just little guys coming in. And so we do have teenagers, obviously, and some infants, obviously. But the majority of kids that enter into foster care for the first time are just individuals that have found themselves in a poor situation by no decision of their own.
Yeah.
And no responsibility of their own. And some of the myths that prevent families from going in there is that we're going to get this crazy trouble kid, or we're going to have our hearts broken because the kids are going to come in and out, in and out. They're going to be moving all over the place.
Right.
And those are just not accurate.
How long typically is a child in care? Say a 5-year-old comes in the house. What's the typical?
It varies in average,
Yeah.
but one of the statistics that I'm really proud of for Olive Crest is that when we place a child in their initial home, there's almost a 99% rate of stabilizing in that home for the first year. We're not moving children multiple times.
Gotcha.
Because we're matching kids up with families. We take a lot of time in doing that.
So if the average age is about 5 or 6, what's the average time span that they spend there?
That varies. It depends on the circumstances of the family. And I'll just tell you from my experiences when we were fostering in Texas, a lot of the kids that we took care of were very high needs, behavioral issue kids, and we loved them, and they gave us a lot of joy and a lot of interesting stories that I could share with you, probably off radio. But but for us, it was an average of between 6 months and 18 months.
Okay. So can you share some happy stories?
Oh, yeah, some amazingly happy stories. Last year, one of the kids that we fostered for almost 2 years, over a year and a half up to the 2-year point, we found, or the caseworker found, his biological father. This guy had no idea he had a child.
Oh, wow.
And this young man had no idea that his father existed. And so it was a really interesting moment where we had been taking care of this kid for almost a year, and I had the privilege, and it was a little bit, a little scary and honoring at the same time to introduce them.
Right.
And so when they looked at each other for the first time, it was really interesting because this grown man is looking at this 11-year-old boy, 12-year-old boy, and realizing this kid looks like me. This is definitely my kid.
Wow.
And the 12-year-old kid looking up at his dad that he's just met for the first time in an airport during a layover is thinking, this is my dad, and he looks like me. And they just stared at each other. And so I had to break the ice with some conversation. Hey, he likes Legos. You know?
Oh, that's
and
good.
he was unified with his dad. And last year, this young man invited my wife and I to attend his wedding.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
And so we were able to go to his wedding. And, at a wedding, they have the dance, the first dance, the father-daughter dance, all those things. And this young man that we had in our home for quite a bit of time, just in the middle of the dance, walked over to my wife and said, "It's your turn now.
Oh, man.
I want to let's do this and dance." And she just started crying. He started crying. It
I
was
would
a
start
beautiful
crying.
experience.
That's awesome.
He's now have a baby, and we get to see pictures on Facebook. It's wonderful.
That's awesome.
Can people help in ways other than foster parenting?
Yeah, actually, for us, for my family, and for a lot of the families at Olive Crest, we couldn't do what we do or did without wraparound support. So family members being educated and understanding how to help with respite or with families, and donations of all sorts and kinds, whether it's goods or financial donations. It costs us about $2,500 on average to recruit, train, and set forth a foster family. And so we look for donations in that manner, and we try to find different partners that want to give a volunteer time or gift in kind, things of that nature. There's many ways to help.
Okay. So what would you say is the biggest area of need?
The biggest area of need is to find out more information about foster care and what they can do, because whether you can do fostering, respite care, be a safe family, provide volunteer services, just realizing that there's a crisis, and this is our crisis as a community.
Right.
This crisis feeds into the homelessness crisis. As kids age out of foster care without being adopted, 50% of them end up in homelessness within 2 years. So
What is that age?
18 is when
And
they
you
age
said
out. Yeah. So
50?
yes.
Wow.
Percent. Yeah. So now there's services for kids up to 24 years of age, but a lot of them, because they've not had balance, are just leaving and trying to make it on their own. And so the education process is really important, and then the willingness to open up their hearts, minds, and thoughts on how to take care of this issue as a community.
Wow. So why are foster kids more vulnerable to homelessness? Can you expand on that?
Yeah. Well, this is really interesting. My kids, they're biological, and I look at them and they're very balanced. They do their homework because we make them, and it's not a real struggle with
Do
them.
they?
Yeah, they do.
Automatically?
Actually, they're really good kids.
That's awesome.
We're really blessed. It's mostly because my wife is such an amazing person. But then we look at the foster kids that have a lot of imbalance, and they're acting out not because they're rebellious or because they want to cause mischief or trouble in the home. They're acting out because they don't have any structure. They don't understand what that is. And so being able to wrap around and talk with that child and help balance is an immense thing that we can overcome. However, if they don't find foster homes, remember, we have a crisis, a lack of enough foster homes to put these kids into. So if they're being moved around, there's not that ability to have stability and structure in
That's
their
like
life.
the number one thing, right?
It's the number
Stability,
one thing.
just somebody there at a certain time.
Absolutely.
Breakfast is this time, lunch is this. Yeah.
Yep. And so when they grow up and age out of foster care without being adopted into a home, they haven't learned the things that other kids have learned.
So I'm just curious, in a nutshell, what's the basic parameters to be a foster care provider?
They're actually, it sounds really simple, but it's just a safe person wanting to be a safe family for a kid, really. We help you walk through that. If your house needs some alterations, like if you have a pool without a fence, that's a big deal, right? We want to keep kids safe. So we kind of go through that. We educate you. You have to go through about 20, 30 hours of classes to get some balance and understanding of what these kids need. And then just a willingness to ask questions and have questions asked of you.
So are there age restrictions?
To be a foster parent?
Well, an example, my wife and I are empty nesters. I mean,
I will sign you up for a class.
So that's
Diane,
a no.
are you listening?
No, there's really not an age restriction. I mean, you have to be an adult, and you have to be able to take care of yourself, right?
Yeah.
To be able to take care of a kid, you got to take care of yourself, and those are like the biggest boulders to move.
Yeah.
And the other things are small. There's a number of agencies in Washington, and if you're not a great fit for Olive Crest for whatever reason, like geographically, we're not close to you to be able to provide the level of care that we would want. There are other agencies throughout the state that can.
So I was going to ask you that. There are other agencies. So what sets Olive Crest? What makes them different?
Well, I'll just give like my personal biased answer to that.
Yeah, please do.
I think we provide a high level of care to our foster families. And when we place kids in homes, we do so very strategically and methodically. We want to make sure that match is a match and create stabilization right away. We're not forcing families into taking kids that they don't want to take. We're not guilting anybody into that. We provide a really high level of care and show a great deal of concern to the families that we license.
Awesome. Well, there's probably hundreds of reasons, but I look at this question: why are kids in foster care?
Yeah.
What? I mean, that's.
When my wife and I'll just personally answer. When my wife and I were involved in foster care, we were astonished at how many kids were in care. We were working with a young agency in Dallas area, and they needed to rapidly place kids in homes. And so we were asked a lot, what about this kid? What about this kid? What about this kid? And we were just overwhelmed with the amount of children in care. And what we found in our personal experience was that parents of these kids didn't know how to parent because they had never been parented themselves.
Right.
Interesting, yeah.
It's just a cycle of brokenness. So a number of the kids coming into care were coming from homes who their parents were also in care at one time and didn't receive that adoption opportunity or stabilization opportunity. So it was just a perpetual cycle of poverty and brokenness and child abuse.
So you say that the approximate number is 9,000?
Yeah, a little over 9,000.
And how many of those are in care?
All of them are in care.
Oh, so there's 9,000 in care, but we don't know the number of people.
So we only have around 5,000, I think around 5,500 foster families currently licensed in Washington, and that's just not enough. So a lot of times families are taking multiple kids, or when kids are adopted by a foster family, the license closed. So let's say you and your wife, you go into foster care, you're empty nesters, you meet this amazing kid, it's a great match, and down the road you decide to adopt. And you realize, like, we can't take other kids because this child, we want to spend some time and all of those types of things. We're not ready right now.
Yeah.
So house licenses closed just through really good reasons. And so we need just a current
you always have attrition,
pipeline
right?
Of foster families.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, thank you. We got to wrap up here. How can our listeners get in touch with you?
Olivecrest.org is the easiest way. And there's a button on there that says contact. And if they just email us, let us know what they're interested in or how we can help, we can put them in touch with the right person at the right time. Yeah.
Awesome.
Paul, thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity.
After the break, we have in studio Crystal Stevenson from Diamond Cut Insurance, who will be discussing why you need a local agent like Crystal and Diamond Cut Insurance. We'll be right back.
Not sure if now is the right time to sell? Worried you missed the market? The Eastside Real Estate Team specializes in helping homeowners maximize their equity when selling. With our proven premier listing service, our clients have sold their homes for more money in less time than the competition. We know you have many choices when working with a real estate agent, but with the Eastside Real Estate Team, you get a team of highly qualified, experienced agents. From staging to deciding if your property is market ready for top dollar. If you're considering selling, call the Eastside Real Estate Team at 425-200-4093. Or check out our website at the eastsiderealestateteam.com, a subsidiary of Keller Williams Realty in Bellevue.
Are you a local business that believes in having a local insurance agent? So many people are finding their insurance agency has recently sold out and are now having to contact a call center that is typically out of state, occasionally out of the country. At Diamond Cut Insurance, we are a local family-run agency who will not be selling out. We are not an 800 number, and we strongly believe in being a functioning member of the community in which we call home. We are here to be your local business insurance agency, and we want to get to know you and your business and write your insurance. We have access to hundreds of insurance companies and can write in any state. If we can't find you a better policy than what you currently have, then we will tell you. We want to make sure that you're insured correctly. And we have built our business on relationships, not closing sales. Diamond Cut Insurance, specializing in business insurance. To learn more about what we do and how we can help insure your business, you can go to our website at dcigi.com or call us at 425-361-2584. Again, that is dcigi.com.
Be sure to support the sponsors of your favorite shows on Alternative Talk 1150.